All right, so this isn't gonna be my typical video. There's no script. I'm not here to analyze anything. I'm not here to break nothing down, go through the history of what's been going on. I am here to say it's time to wrap it up. I'm here to say that this is the battle that nobody wants anymore. I don't want records. I don't want any more social media back and forth. I don't want no altercations in real life. I don't even want them to piece it up at this point. I want Nicki Minaj to go her way, and I want Cardi B to go her way. We y'all don't need to interact, be around each other or nothing. I am one of the people that believe that in rap battles, there's no such thing as too far. And I'm here to eat my words and say that after this week, I have found my breaking point. I found the line for me that I don't want to cross, and that's dissing children when it's two people going back and forth, two grown people having an issue with each other, taking shots at children. That's where I draw the line. I've been watching the interaction between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, and because they're going at it, some of the other rap girls are jumping in. The ones that have a problem with Nicki and they're on Cardi's side, taking shots. The ones that have problems with Cardi and it's on Nicki's side, taking shots. And of course, the fan bases, the barbs. Like, famously, I said I'm not talking about Nicki negatively or positively because of the barbs. I just ain't got time. They be doxing people. They be like, they basically domestic terrorists at this point, going to bat for this woman, even when she dead wrong. But I said, you know what? I'm not gonna give her props, and I'm not gonna criticize. I'm just gonna completely avoid that topic. I decided that because of how ugly things have gotten, I can't take myself out of this one. So if they got to come at me, they got to come at me. But I just need y'all to understand that y'all are defending somebody that was using anti-black statements to talk about a little girl. She was taking shots at a little girl, calling her a roach, calling her a monkey, saying that she was ugly. Not even a teenager yet, a little child. I don't even know how old Offset and Cardi's daughter Culture is, but I know that she's way too young to be wrapped up in grown people business. Like, Nicki Minaj is going full Kanye right now. She's going full Kanye. Just nothing but conspiracy theories, religious psychosis. Like, she got beef with Rock Nation. She got beef with Jay-Z. She got beef with this Perez lady. She got beef with every single woman that decides to pick up a mic and dare to be within the same lane as her. Which, if we're being honest, most of them are not even in the same category. One thing I've never really understood about this whole like Nicki and Cardi problem is that people keep trying to make it seem like they occupy the same space. Nicki Minaj is more of a lyricist. She does the pop thing, but she's more of a lyricist. She, is way more traditional. She writes her own rhymes. She, just take lyricism very seriously. Whether you like her music or not, it doesn't take away the fact that she has always, prided herself on her pen game and being up there, like her monster verse with Jay-Z and Kanye, rapping with Eminem on Roman's Revenge. Like, she has always kept herself in that conversation when it came to lyricism, to the point where she pointed out that when people bring up, the GOATs of their generation and they talk about these superstars and these megastars, they only talk about the men, when Nicki in a lot of times is, wrapping circles around these dudes. So, and she made a legitimate point of not being mentioned in those conversations, and a lot of people had her back in that because she really has been putting in that work. But it's safe to say that she just not hitting the same no more. She's been in the game for a decade and a half, and we starting to see the decline in the penmanship. Starting to see the decline in the songwriting. We're starting to see the decline in the flow and like her ability to craft projects like she used to. Pink Friday 2 wasn't it. Queen was cool, but it definitely is not up there with the Pink Print. Like it's not up there with Roman's Revenge. It's not up there with her feature run from like the early to mid 2010s. Like she's not there anymore. It's safe to say that. And I think a big part of that is that she's so focused on everybody else that has come up since Cardi B. Like there's a laundry list of women that she's beef with. She's beef with Cardi. She's beef with Remy Ma. She's beef with Megan Thee Stallion, Lotto, Mariah Carey, Ice Spice. She's even going back and forth with JT. Now JT's on her side apparently. And I sound like I'm in women's business, but this is hip hop. This is hip hop. Like I remember when Cardi B's album dropped a couple weeks ago now, and people were like, "Yo, men reviewing the album into talking about the album, critiquing it or whatever," and a lot of guys push back like, "Wait a minute, when we don't include women, like I just talked about Nicki Minaj not being included in the men MCs when people were talking about greats." And talking about like the pinnacle of their generation, and Nicki Minaj is left out of that conversation. That's a legitimate criticism. But when we try to critique the women, we try to critique the women in hip hop and bring them in that conversation. All right, I'm gonna talk about Cardi's album the same way I would talk about Future's album, or I would talk about Nicki's album the same way I talk about a Kendrick album or a Drake album or something. Now all of a sudden we shouldn't be having those discussions. Like you want us to talk about the women when it's in the GOAT conversation, or just being included in the conversation when the men are brought up, but we can't critique the music the same way. We should stay out of that. I don't like that perception. So let me just go ahead and, make that distinction now. But yeah, like Nicki has gone at it with everybody. And it seems like it's only driven by I'm the queen, and either you're going to kiss my ass or you're against me. There ain't no in between. And I feel like that has just turned into, first is you battling the rap girls, then it turns into you battling the industry. Like you could say it's Rock Nation. You could say that it's, Atlantic. You could say it's Kaiser. You could say that it's Lucian Grange. All that. And I'm not saying that these people are innocent and that, blackballing and things do not happen in the industry, because it clearly does. Like there's historical precedent since the beginning of the music industry, especially with black artists, especially with black women in the music industry. There's been precedent, but it might also be that you're not that likable of a person. And maybe everybody isn't going to bow down and kiss the ring just because you're Nicki Minaj. And because people don't give you that treatment, you treat it like it's a slight. You treat it like, oh, well, if they're not willing to bow to me, then they must be an enemy. Like, I think along the way, I'm not going to get into like no type of drug, allegations or, anything, like the stuff that Cardi B was talking about, the stuff that happened in her past. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Only people that know are the people that were involved or around her at that time. I'm not going to get into that. But I feel like, just from my observation, from the things that I can see, it feels like the Roman character is she's starting to embody that character that she created. She's starting to lose touch with reality and starting to think that she's Roman, starting to thinking that she's really a queen. Like, it's a moniker. Like, you're a legend. You deserve all your plaudits. And regardless of how you got there, at one point you were the only woman holding it down for years. Like, Kim wasn't as active. Remy went to jail. Eve retired. Missy got sick and disappeared for a little bit. You were literally the only one left. And we're not even gonna get into Lauren. Lauren dropped one album and dipped, and she's been eating off that one album since 1999. So it was really just Nicki and occasionally Trina. So props to you for that. But like this idea that you can only be one. Like there can only be one. That has to stop. That has to stop. You are antagonistic to any woman that comes into the rap space. And a lot of them don't want a problem with you. A lot of them were influenced by you. Like Charlemagne, when he gave Nicki Donkey today, he said,
It's sad because Nicki is goated. She's an icon living. She literally kicked down the doors for a whole new generation of female rappers. You went from showing a generation how to be a female boss to showing a generation how to be a disgruntled artist.
like you have reached legend status. Nobody's coming to take your spot. And they shouldn't have to bow down to you for you to feel like you are who you are. But I think there's some other stuff going on. But it's getting nasty. It's getting nasty. And look, I spent all this time talking about Nicki, but we not letting Cardi off the hook. I've seen the reaction to their back and forth, and a lot of people, rightfully so, kicking Nicki's back in because she been wilding. She been tripping for a minute, but especially since last year when Wayne got picked for the Super Bowl, it seems like she's just been like really off it since then. Like especially when she gets on Twitter and decides to like just go on this tirade for Rock Nation and Perez and Jay-Z and tiptoeing around Beyonce's name. Like it feels like that is a consistent thing with her for the past year now. So people rightfully have been kicking her back in, but we not about to let Cardi off the hook. Actually, you know what's crazy? I posted about this earlier on the channel on a short where I was talking about OBS had messed up my audio, and I recorded a whole episode. In that episode, I talked about, you know, Cardi B's album and also Young Thug's album, and I was very complimentary to Cardi B for Am I the Drama, because I actually don't think it's that bad of an album, and I think a lot of the issues stems back to streaming and how streaming has ruined the album listening experience because they make you pack so many songs onto an album, and you know, it helps you get paid and it helps you climb the charts, but it hurts the consumer's listening experience, right? And I was very complimentary to her, and I was very disappointed when I went back and listened to the audio and the audio was messed up. But I'm actually kind of glad that episode never came out. It was supposed to come out this week. It would have came out the same day. It would have came out the same day that everything between Nicki and Cardi was going on. And I would have been very complimentary to Cardi on that episode, and I'm glad it didn't come out so I didn't have to do that, because just because y'all like Cardi B doesn't mean that she should be let off the hook, because it takes two to tango. Nicki Minaj calling, you know, Cardi B's daughter Culture ugly, a monkey, a roach, that's deplorable, that's disrespectful, and I'm a father. Like, I have a little boy. Anybody starts talking about my child like that, I'm gonna flip out. I'm gonna go ballistic, right? That doesn't mean you go and attack another child in a way to get your get back. I don't respect that. I don't respect that. Talking about that little boy and, you know, his alleged like cognitive, you know, disadvantages, I don't like that. I don't respect that. And regardless of, you know, it's like, oh, well, they go low, I go lower, I take it to hell. I don't care about that, because that makes you look like an asshole to people you did not mean to disrespect, trying to get at somebody else. I talk about this story on an earlier video on the channel where I wrote a lyric about Terry Crews. He was wilding out in 2020 during the BLM protests. He had been saying a lot of wild stuff, a lot of shucking and jiving, and a lot of tap dancing. And earlier that year, he also talked about, you know, him being assaulted by a powerful executive in Hollywood or something. And I wrote a line kind of poking fun at that. But I thought about it for more than 5 seconds, and I changed that lyric, because even though I felt like I was in the right to get at him, I didn't want to disrespect other people, other victims of assault in that manner. And I didn't want to, like, you know, hit them with strays trying to get at somebody else, basically. So I stepped away from that. I changed the lyric to something else, still getting at him, but not, you know, not alluding to that situation. And that's what I feel like with the Cardi B thing. Like, you could be getting at Nicki Minaj and you felt like in the moment you were right, but there are people that are fans of Cardi B that have children that are going through the same thing. There are people who are fans of you that have grown up, that dealt with that as children, that are fans of you, that you are sending astray to by talking about this little boy. Because who knows? What if all of that is just perception? He's fine. There's no speech delay. There's like I saw people like saying, "Wow," when she said that his favorite color is 5, or that he be playing with spoons or banging on spoons. People thought that was hilarious. I think that makes you a terrible person. Cardi B, she makes hits. I was complimentary to her last album, but I've never really been a fan. I can respect what Nicki does as a lyricist. I've never really been that big into Nicki Minaj, the artist. You know, I can respect her catalog and say that I was never really that big of a fan. I can recognize the impact that it had and not be a fan. I feel the same way about Cardi B. I was never really a fan, even less so because I knew she wasn't really like a lyricist. I know other people was writing her rhymes. She was very open about it. I respect the fact that she was open about it, but you know, I'm an MC myself. So when you say you don't write your rhymes, I'm like, all right, that's you. You're a notch below other artists for me, just to be honest. And the music wasn't for me, but I can respect that, and I can acknowledge the impact that she's had with her music. It just wasn't for me. But I think my biggest issue with her, and it's not just her, it's other artists like her. Like, I remember people said this about Boozy, people said this about Waka Flocka, and even with Gucci Mane a few years ago, like early day Twitter, like was going on his rant, was just talking about people like Nicki Minaj. He was just going in on all these different people. People thought that stuff was real. Like when people get online and they just say the first thing that comes to their mind with no regard for anybody else, and they just say it, and they say it just like raw and real like that. People look at that and say that's real, and that has always bothered me. I've never liked that, because people always equate ignorance with real, and a lot of times it would be ignorant. I'm not gonna say that she's ignorant. I'm not saying that she's this type of person or whatever, but like she would do things and say things, and it would be disrespectful. It would be, in bad taste. And people would look at it and go like, yeah, she's my spirit animal. Or yeah, like I really rock with the fact that she just says whatever. And like, for the most part, she has a likable personality, but I just didn't like that. Because y'all equate being real and authentic with being rude, with being ignorant. Like just saying things without any regard about how other people around you may feel. I don't feel like that's real. But you know what? I just was like, hey, do your thing. I'm just not going to be a fan of it. I'm going to just keep moving. Right? And then she talked about drugging men. And this was deep into the Me Too movement. And I really thought, okay, she's out of here. And I saw that people gave it a pass and was actually like making excuses. Actually saying that the men that she drugged deserved it. Right. And I'm not saying that these guys were saints. I'm not saying that, they didn't mean her harm either. Right. Because I wasn't there. I don't even know the full story, but I just didn't like how quick everybody was so ready to give her a pass. Like everybody was so quick to say that this isn't a big deal and we rocking with her. And it's because she has a very likable personality and everybody likes her. And she was the hot new person at the time. Like she was the hit maker. She was that new artist that everybody was rallying around. I guess everybody gets a pass if she's the popular one right now, or he's the popular one right now. Like there's so many times I remember people making excuses for Kanye when he was wilding. I was out, and Kanye is one of my biggest influences. I was out when he said slavery was a choice. That's when I knew I've reached my breaking point. I can't do this. And people was like, I kind of see his point. He basically using Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk type rhetoric that if it was anybody else, we would be flaming them. We would be going in on them saying that unequivocally you're wrong and this is why. But because it came from Kanye, you can see where he's coming from. And ironically enough, there are some people this year that stopped rocking with Kanye because he started talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce's children. In the same manner that Cardi B was talking about Nicki Minaj's children. That was the line where everybody said, I can't do it no more. I can't rock with Kanye. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know, man. It took you long enough, but I appreciate you being here. I wonder, will that be the same reaction to Cardi B saying this about Nicki Minaj's son? But I don't think so, because again, Nicki is the evil person in this situation. Cardi B's the good person in this situation. That's why we're not gonna get the same reaction. That's why this is not gonna have the same impact. I don't want to hear no music. First of all, nothing that you could say on a record dissing back and forth is going to be any more scathing than them tweets this week. I really hate when rappers are beefing and it is on IG Live, it's in interviews, it's on Twitter, it's on whatever social media platform you choose to use, but the booth. It go everywhere but the booth. Not even a freestyle on the radio, nothing. It's just tweeted out. And if you put it on record now, we've heard it before. It don't hit the same. But I don't even want the records no more. Because if we're going to be doing more of that, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear you talking shit about a child. I don't want to hear you talking shit about whether you think a little girl is ugly or not. Or using anti-black rhetoric to diss a little girl. And for Cardi B, I don't want to hear you talking about like a possible learning disability for a child, a baby. And there's so many people that's gonna like try to compare this to like the Drake and Kendrick thing, and it's not the same. It's not the same at all. That's another thing about like when you have these conversations about like women MCs, there'll be a lot of people that'll say like, well, y'all don't have the same reaction when the men do it. Kendrick and Drake did not diss the children. Listen to the lyrics. Listen to the lyrics of Family Matters and listen to the lyrics of Meet the Grams. And I don't even think he even mentions the children are not like us. Or some people even pointed to that bar in Euphoria. And both times they're not talking directly about the children. Drake is saying Whitney cheated on Kendrick and had a baby behind his back and lied to him, and that's not really his kid. And then called Kendrick an abuser, like a domestic abuser. Kendrick is basically saying, yo, your dad is a loser. He does not raise you the way you should be raised. Actually, I could be your role model. There's still hope for you. He's even telling Adonis, there's still hope for you. Just don't follow the ways of your father. But Kendrick did not talk about the way that Adonis looked. Drake didn't say anything about, Kendrick's son's cognitive abilities or anything like that. None of that. Nothing about the way they look. Nothing about, whether they're sick or not, or whether they have this disability or not. None of that. They were talking about them and their relation to their children, but not about their children. I don't want to hear diss records about children because children are innocent. They do not choose who their parents are. They are just born into this world to the people that decided to bring them into this world. They have nothing to do with two grown people going at it. And I don't think they should be used as ammunition. Like, as I'm recording this, they've been going at it since like Monday, Tuesday. It's Friday. And there have been tweets going up that have gone up today talking about each other's children. Like I was talking to my wife and she was saying how in a way this could have been the women rap's version of Kendrick and Drake. Not saying that it's the same level of lyricism on both sides or that they're the same caliber of artists, however you want to qualify that. I'm not saying that. But it's just the fact that there were beefs that were bubbling up for years. Like Kendrick and Drake, it was over a decade. Nicki and Cardi is damn near a decade. They've been at each other's throats. And there are the two most successful women to ever touch a microphone, numbers wise. Like you could say, Rhapsody's a better rapper, or Lauryn Hill's a better rapper, or, somebody like Jean Grae is a better rapper. Lil Sims is a better rapper. You could say that. But like numbers wise, it's not even close. Lauren's probably the only other person. But again, that was years ago with one album. These women have been running rap for the women. Hell, they practically been running rap, period. Because I was going to say, like, before Kendrick and Drake, the women were running it. The women were really running it. There were people talking about where are the next rap superstars. And Lil Bill, to his credit on his YouTube channel, pointed out that the women were the superstars. The women have been the ones on the charts consistently for years now. They just not looked at in the same light because you want a man in that position. You don't want a woman in that position. So women have been running rap for the last at least 4 or 5 years before Kendrick had his resurgence last year. Like, this could have been like a big epic thing for the women, but it's gotten so ugly and it's gone to a place that even Kendrick and Drake didn't go to, in my opinion. It didn't get that dark with them. And we didn't get any music to even speak about from it. And that's a damn shame. Like, at this point, leave each other alone. It'll be better for both of y'all. It'll be better for hip hop as a whole if everybody just go in their respective corners and don't even acknowledge each other going forward. Nicki needs some help. I don't want to speculate on what's going on with her, but there's obviously something wrong the way she's been moving lately. And Cardi B needs some help too. Because at some point, we need to stop making excuses for you being a terrible person as well. Because there's nobody that wins in this. And your children are suffering. The fans of both women are posting children and poking fun at them. I've seen somebody post a picture of like Cardi B's daughter with her gums showing, and they're making fun of a little girl's gums. A little girl. And they take, and like I said earlier, like, people are quoting the stuff that Cardi B was saying about Nicki's son and laughing at that and thinking that that's hilarious. And I don't find that shit fucking funny. Like, this is bad. I don't respect none of it. Everybody just needs to shut the fuck up. Make the music. Don't even acknowledge each other. Just keep it moving. Because at this point, if things keep escalating, somebody might end up losing their lives. And I always say this all the time. Everybody likes these moments. Everybody likes this heated, antagonistic shit until somebody die, and then everybody gonna act like, yo, we should have known better. I wish we would have done more. Whole time you was egging this shit on. Because after you talk about people's children, where else does this go? This goes to somebody in jail and the other person in a body bag. And unless you want to see that, everybody need to be telling them, knock it off. Now, I'm going to get back to some real hip hop shit. You know, when people are not dissing children to get at grown fucking people. But let me know what y'all think in the comments below. I'm pretty sure you will. Do you still want to hear music from either one of them in a battle? Or is you feeling like me? Are you feeling like me? And it's gone to a place where I don't even fucking care anymore. Yeah, man, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Like I said, I'm being more consistent. My computer died randomly. I was having all the technical issues. OBS messed up the video I recorded. Then my computer just decided to stop working for a few days. So that might be part of why I'm a little bit more heated than usual. On top of the fact that I just think this shit is disgusting. But yeah, we back in action. Make sure that you tune in. More episodes of 1430 is coming soon. But until next time, much love. Oh, and one more thing, Culture Papa Bear, I just hope that this stuff doesn't affect y'all in the future as much as I fear this does. Because regardless of what's going on with y'all parents, y'all ain't do nothing. Y'all don't deserve to be dragged into these grown people's mess. Much love.